Welcome to the Orange Hammer Podcast. My name is Corbett Storick. I've been a licensed general contractor for 8+ years, specializing in new construction, renovation, furniture building. I'm the son of an architect and an interior designer, and I've been surrounded in this industry since birth, watching all aspects from concept, design, build, punch list, and of course, all the problems that come up in between. In my time in Durham, North Carolina, I've noticed a significant gap in knowledge between homeowners who need work and the people who do the work. On this podcast, I hope to break down the process of homeownership from the perspective of both the homeowner and the contractor in an effort to help raise the knowledge of homeowners about their homes and the construction/renovation process. I hope you enjoy. If you're enjoying the Orange Hammer Podcast, or if you have a topic that you want covered, or have recently done a project, please contact the Orange Hammer Podcast. The Orange Hammer Podcast is on Instagram and Facebook. Please like and subscribe, share on whatever platform you're enjoying your podcast on. Also, check out our YouTube channel, The Orange Hammer. The Orange Hammer Podcast is proud to be brought to you by CRS Contracting LLC for all your construction and handyman needs, new buildings to renovations, furniture building, EV charger install, or even a TV mounted. You can call me, Corbett Storick. It'd be my pleasure to help you. You can find me on Instagram at CRS Contracting. WSDG, the Walter Storick Design Group, specialists in architectural and acoustical consulting. Check out WSDG.com. And Taylor Bragg, for all your artistic needs in all mediums. You can find her on Instagram at brag_about_art. That's brag, BRGG, with 2 G's. She's the fantastic artist behind the Orange Hammer logo, and she did my fantastic table painting of my podcasting table. All right, welcome everybody. We are recording. Glenn, my guest today. Glenn, how are you doing today?
Good to see you, man. I'm fine.
It is really good to see you. Cheers.
Cheers, as always.
Yeah, this is a pretty good whiskey we got here.
I can tell.
This Buffalo Trace. It's good stuff.
I can tell. I'm enjoying it very much. It's good to be in your house. I'm surrounded by cool stuff. Nice vibe.
I like to think so. Yeah, this is my office that I converted to the studio, but nothing really changed other than I added the equipment, and then basically it just started rolling because that's all you need in a podcast. If you can't hear the outside city, you don't need a whole lot. So I was just telling you before I hit the record button, you and your family are literally, truthfully and actually, the inspiration for the podcast. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I did not know that. I'm honored.
Yeah.
It's fabulous to hear. Tell me more, please.
So
I'm a little concerned.
Going to your house, sir, and looking at that upstairs bathroom after the third time that I came over to look at the same bathroom to more or less have the same conversation about how, the Pinterest video that I think your wife was showing us, that somebody was like, "Oh, look what I did for $600," and I was just like, not possible. Just you know, I was trying to explain how the tile is over the lip of the tub, and you can't just pull out a tub and slide in a new tub. The plumbing won't even align, or the likelihood of it aligning is so low, and just all of these things, and it dawned on me almost immediately, possibly even on the drive home. I was like, how do people who spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on their home not understand anything about how homes are built? Because obviously, I'm in the industry, so I understand it. Yeah. But
I love it.
I was like, and then I was like, okay, how do I fix that? And I didn't know of another way.
Yeah. Idiots like me,
our
lack of knowledge about anything home related has inspired you to try and educate the masses. I mean,
yeah, basically. I mean, you did. In all fairness, I have been actually hired and paid by you to do some stuff.
That's true.
Yeah, let's be real clear.
That's true.
It's not like
you weren't there as a friend.
Yeah. It's I've done a couple of things. Quickest one memory would be the basketball hoop.
You did a good job with that.
Yeah, which was actually not as easy as it sounds because of the eaves, and it had to be bumped out to prop up or whatever.
That's correct.
And then we had talked once upon a time about
trying to build, I think it was like a loft bunk beds.
That's right.
Yeah. And we went back and forth a lot. And like, I do build custom furniture, but it just kept like boiling down to like my level of custom furniture. And let's be clear, I'm not some like top level, artist, craftsman, hand chisel, whatever. But even still, my level of like custom furniture was just going to be way too much for like the temporary thing you needed for like 8 months or something, like, or even less.
Yep. And also what I'm hearing also from your perspective is sometimes I think what people think they can afford versus what they can't afford, what they want in their minds versus what is realistic. Sometimes closing that gap is your job, and that is a hard conversation to have.
That is basically life in a nutshell in my industry. I mean, everybody wants the moon, and nobody can even afford the jet fuel to get there, let alone the rocket.
Sure.
So in housing words, everybody wants, well, I mean, there's a scale to this for sure. Like, no, not everybody does want a $20 million McMansion, but everybody usually wants more than they can have. Like, and the gap may be small, the gap may be big, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of customers don't even like it when I ask them their budget, but a lot of times that is a very big factor that can save everybody a lot of work.
Yeah. And what I've always liked about you is you're direct. There are a lot of guys in your industry who aren't as direct as you are. And because they feel like they, for whatever reason, can smooth talk you into something that you can't afford.
Right.
I've always respected you and your honesty and your directness in that regard. You'll say, look, this is going to cost this is going to cost that. And one thing I also want to say about your industry, the way that I understand it, is that you're competing against a lot of folks, and it must be difficult to have that conversation with yourself. What am I willing? How much of a haircut I'm willing to take on this in order to get the job? And like, in how much of my reputation am I willing to sacrifice in order to do that? In other words, people say, oh, well, Corbett can do it because he's cheap or whatever, and that's probably a really bad word in your industry too, because that has like a double-edged sword quality to it. Because if you're the least expensive guy, you don't really want to be that. Probably
there's a reason.
Yes.
Yeah. Whether it's like a sleazy reason or a corner cut or I use cheaper caulk, whatever the reason may be, but there is a reason. You can't just be cheaper. You can't just be like, I'm less greedy. Like, that's not how it works. We all have taxes. Like,
yeah. And so
I mean?
in order, I'm sure you've been in those situations where you find yourself thinking, oh my goodness, like if I tell them this price, they may not go for it.
Yeah.
I could go lower. But then, number one, I'm sacrificing margin, and number two, I'm sacrificing reputation potentially.
Yeah, So I didn't come up with this, but you hear it from a lot of like famous or successful / famous people who have content on Instagram or whatever, and it's like you get three choices. Like, do you want it good? Do you want it cheap? Or do you want it fast? And you get to pick two.
Cool. Yeah,
and you can pick either. You can pick any of the two. Yeah. Like, if you want it fast and good, it's not going to be cheap.
Correct.
If you want it cheap and fast, it's not going to be good.
Very good.
If you want it good and fast, it's not going to be cheap. If you want it good and cheap, it's not going to be fast.
Love it.
So, like, pick the two you want and and it's all about, there's a lot of, like, self-realization that a lot of clients don't have. I get people who call me at every phase of a project. Unfortunately, the most annoying call is when they're still daydreaming. Because, like, guess what? We don't have the same styles. You don't want my color palette. I'm not the person that you call to ask, like,
unless you like orange and blue.
Unless you like orange and blue, yeah. As you know, as you are my embroidery guy, yeah. So I guess let's talk about that for half a second,
let's
right?
do it.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're, obviously you're on here as a homeowner. You've owned at least one home because I was in it.
That's right.
Yeah. So was that your first home?
No.
Okay. What was when did you buy your first home?
We bought a home in 2015, I think. It was technically a vacation home because we've always been boarding school teachers. And one of the dreams that we had was to have a little place in the mountains. So we bought that place technically as a vacation home, I guess, but it was our first home because the first house we'd ever bought.
Mountains as in Asheville?
In Virginia.
In Virginia,
Yeah,
okay.
in Shenandoah County, Virginia.
Okay.
So that was the first house we
What,
ever
like,
bought.
mountain range is that?
That's Shenandoah Mountains.
Okay, Shenandoah Mountains.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And what was... being a vacation home, you could assume some things, but obviously, please correct me and fill in the gaps. Small, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom. I mean, what kind of?
It was
home?
cool. It was like a condo, but it was like 1,600 square feet. It was like a 3-level deal. It was one of those that would started out as a row of what do you call those things? Where timeshares,
Yeah.
you know. And there was a place on top and a place on the bottom, but they was connected. You know, somebody connected them with a staircase, and so we had 3 levels eventually, and it was really fun. It was ended up being like 4 bedrooms, 1,600 square feet, big place.
Did you do any work to that?
We did, yeah.
What kind of work did you do?
We had like shelves put in. We did light fixtures. We did some paneling on the wall. You know, that was like in the 80s. Everybody put a mirror over the fireplace. You know, so like we got that thing removed and put wood paneling instead. But up there, nothing is licensed. You know, most things are cash. You know, we had a guy that was testing a light fixture just by touching it, you know, stuff like that.
How'd you like find the person that you would hire to do the work on that house? Like when you needed those light fixtures changed.
In a small town in the mountains, I mean, it is like it is everywhere. It's referral, but it's somebody's brother or somebody's, you know, husband or cousin who can do this.
Did you know people in that town before you moved there?
It's a resort town, and so we knew a lot of the resort people.
Okay.
So most of the people that we knew were from, so it was in Shenandoah County, Virginia. We lived in Alexandria, and so a lot of our friends from the city would go out there, and they've got a guy or whoever.
Okay,
you know,
so you had somewhat of a connection, even though you're like moving to that house, to that area for the first time. Like you had some friends to be like, hey, you know, who's your plumber?
Larry.
Call Larry.
Yeah, and then
gotcha.
Larry knows this guy, and
there you go. Once you get your foot in the door, you just keep moving around, around the network.
And in reality, those type of deals, that's what'd you say it was? Fast and cheap. That's probably. Those are the 2 criteria that you're looking for. At least we were, you know,
right.
can you come over and can you fix it cheaply?
Right. Are you free today?
Correct.
Yeah. Do you have a screw that might be the wrong color, but it will work?
Good was less important
right.
for us at that phase.
So your first time, this phase of life is different. You're younger, first time home buyer.
Yes.
Obviously like financial, what year was this, did you say?
It was like 6-7 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. So the market, even though the market's drastically different. Yeah. So so after that, do you have that home or did you sell that home?
Sold it.
Okay. So what's the selling process like?
For a house like that?
Yeah. Well, for you guys, like, when did you sell it?
We sold it in, I think, January 2020, right before the pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting time.
In a resort town like that, too, it was interesting. Resort town like that, it's very strange. So you either sell it to another vacationer or to a local. And for us, we ended up selling it to a local who's going to live there full time. And that's a different process than selling it to somebody who already owns a home, if that makes sense. You know, and so we were fortunate that somebody wanted to live there because our house wasn't as close to the resort as other places. So it would have been harder to sell it to somebody who was a vacationer.
Okay. So it spoke better to a local than it did to a vacationing person.
But what you end up having to deal with in that case is there's a smaller pool of people to choose from because it's a small town.
Right.
And so we were fortunate that our realtor knew somebody. Again, that was all referral too. You know, the realtor had been there forever and been selling houses there for 35 years.
Did it sell relatively quickly for what you needed to get out of it?
We were fortunate. Yeah.
So do you think that you were fortunate? Or do you weigh any of that to what happened in 2020 and the real estate market? Because you may have been fortunate. I'm not trying to discredit that, but like real estate was insane in smaller towns where people are like, I'm getting out of whatever city it may be to go to a small town.
That's funny you mentioned because it was January of 2020. So it was pre-pandemic. pandemic.
Oh, so it's like a month before. It's like almost 2 months before.
That's correct.
Okay.
If we had waited 6 months, who knows? Maybe it would have sold for a lot more.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
it was just the luck then.
That's correct.
Okay. So then, is there a house between that one and the one I saw?
No, sir.
Okay. So that house that I saw, you buy that in January 2020?
2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, it's before the pandemic
Yep.
is even really in the news, let alone in full swing.
Not even a thing.
But the real estate market is nuts in the Triangle.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just sold the house, as you know, 3-4 months ago, and made some money.
Yeah.
It was amazing. We only owned it for 3 years and turned a good profit.
And you didn't really do much in terms of like big, expensive
It was
stuff.
all the stuff you did, Corbett. Really, that was what put it over the top.
Yeah.
Basketball goal.
That one basketball
That's right.
goal
That's
was
right.
worth $100,000.
It was amazing.
Yeah. I'd like a cut of that house profit.
Yeah, you got it.
actually.
You got it. We'll talk after.
No, let's talk on
Let's
the
talk
air.
now,
I
right?
want witnesses
That's
to
right,
that. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah. This is basically a contract
I love
now.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, this is a curb appeal. They said,
Yeah.
look at that damn. Who did that?
Yeah, look at that hoop. That's
Who
at
did
a weird
that?
angle.
That thing is sick. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, because we had talked about like, well, obviously there was bathroom redoing, but then there was like, how do we add a bathroom? How do we redo this laundry room? There was like a closet that kind of wanted to be modified. There were some big plans that were
Yes, sir.
like in the
works.
plan, for
in the
lack
plans,
of a better,
in the dreams, in
Yeah.
the head. Yeah, people and you what I'm gathering from this conversation, and also having worked with you, and I've talked with you a bunch over the last 3 years, I feel like we're old friends, is like you have to get to know these people and understand where they are in life as well. You have to be, not only do you need to know all of your X's and O's and all of your wood and all of your tile and all of your lighting and all of the things that you do, but you have to be able to read people. Where are these people in the process? Like you mentioned, are they dreaming? Are they realistic? What do they need out of this project? Does it have to happen immediately? You know, how serious are they? And so on and so forth. There's an element of, I don't want to say sales because it's not really, I mean, I guess it is, but knowing people and knowing their psychology and making them feel comfortable with you. That's also, from the customer standpoint, I'll just say there's a lot of guys that do what you do, you know, and girls that do what you do. And so you have to, as a customer, we're always thinking, well, you know, if this doesn't work out, I'll just call whoever, you know. But if you like the person and you like working with them and you feel like they've got your best interest in mind, then you're more likely to go with them, you know, and more likely to give them the business. How much of that does play into your process? I mean,
it is sales for sure.
Yeah.
I don't really think of it that way, but what you said could not be more true. I mean, it's very true. There's 100,000 people in the Triangle alone who do exactly what I do, you know, and a lot of us work with the same subs, you know. There's plenty of licensed contractors who use the same electrician because a contractor is not an electrician. We're not the same thing. Like,
right.
Just getting the various licenses is extremely hard and almost impossible to get multiple. Well, not exclusively, but it's really hard to get some licenses when you have other licenses. Like, you have to do a lot of years working as an electrician before you can get an electric license. Mm-hmm. So it's just like really hard to also get, you know, a plumbing license at the same time, you know, like, no, the solar company, they have a licensed electrician on staff. So it just is easier for them to be an all-inclusive person. I don't really know. I've never really like thought about how I look at it from a sales perspective. I just go in and be as
genuine
myself as I can.
That's correct.
It is definitely an issue here. I will not deny. I am a very tall, very big, very loud, blunt New Yorker.
Sure.
And there have been occasions where I have been extremely polite and the Southern person has been like, why is this person so aggressive?
They don't take it that way.
And I get a phone call from like the person who put us in touch and they're like, why were you so mean to Jane?
What the hell's wrong with you?
She's like a 70-year-old woman who asked you about a renovation. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was trying to figure
perfect
out
gentleman.
where to put the plumbing because it's uphill. And I was like, this
Yeah.
is going to be really, really hard.
That's what I was saying earlier, though, about you, bro. Like, you don't pull any punches.
No.
But not in a mean way. You're not
No,
mean about
it's
it.
not a mean way. Like, I'm definitely not a mean human.
not a mean
but I
person.
acknowledge that, like, a New Yorker, a northerner in the South, sometimes there's a disconnect. And it's not on the Southern's fault or the New Yorker's fault. There's just a disconnect. And that's just, I've softened the more I've been here, but there's still some disconnect. I'm a very matter of fact when it comes to it. I don't even want to help you with your design.
I know.
I give you a design person. I know. Like, I have a lady, Kim Hopkins. Shout out Kim Hopkins, big fan. I love giving people your number, but like, I don't even get a cut from her. I'll just send John Doe to her and go draw it.
It's not how it works.
Because when you get a drawing, I can then help you.
That's correct.
But I can't price what's in your head.
Yeah, but also
it's not possible.
Yeah, and what people don't understand about your time is money, man. You driving out to somebody's,
it's very expensive.
Hell, I mean, driving out to somebody's house and walking around their house with them and talking to them. I mean, that's a half a day. You could be doing something else. You got other things to be doing. And so you taking all that time, sometimes people think you're just there pro bono or something, and they need to understand that having you there is a privilege.
I now charge $100 to come out.
Which you should.
But most people don't. And some people give me shit for it.
Yeah.
Though exactly what you said, though, is very true. Like, it's not just the, 15 minutes there, 15 minute back, 30-minute talk. Okay, that's an hour. But it's not just the hour. It's, if I have an appointment with you at 11, I'm not on a job from 8 to 4.
That's right.
Because I can't leave, like, that doesn't make sense, like to do set up and then take it all down and then leave and then come and set it all up again,
Yeah.
So what I do now is, you want me to come and price anything? It's $100. Venmo me, I'll show up. And then if you hire me, I'll take the 100 off at the end.
Love it.
So then it is a free estimate.
Love it.
But if you got an estimate and you didn't realize that the $5,000 project is actually a $10,000 project, I hate to be the blunt New Yorker. It's not my fault.
Not my fault.
It's not. I'm the one who now gave you information.
Now you know.
For $100, you just
Correct.
learned.
There you have it.
Yeah, and
pleasure doing business,
and you can keep that budget.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
There you go.
The sliding, the sort of slippery slope of the free estimate, right? Somebody started doing free estimates way back, I don't know when, and then everybody felt like they had to do a free estimate because otherwise they weren't keeping up with whoever. I think the free estimate is very damaging in y'all's industry, because we as the customer feel like, I got nothing to lose. I got this guy for 2 hours. I can walk around and while you're here and take a look at this and what do you think of that? And you're sitting there like worrying about the other job that you've left to come and talk to me.
And it's different when it's me versus, I don't know, Terminex, a national company with the overhead the size of Costco.
Exactly right.
Like, this is very different. That
CRS
company,
Contracting is you and whoever else, but it's not like
literally
1,000 people.
No, it is literally me. I have 0 employees,
Right.
and I have a subcontractor for everything you can think
There you
of,
have
and
it.
I am my own carpenter.
Correct.
I do it when I'm not recovering from foot surgery,
Right.
and in fact, on Sunday I put in kitchen cabinets. So I was like, I'm back. Woo! But like,
Congrats.
Thanks. But like, Terminex, or pick one, fill in the blank. They have 40 trucks, 800 people, an entire person whose job is to sit at a front desk.
And you're welcome to call those people.
I want you to. I'm not shitting on them.
Call them.
But
Call them.
just understand that they don't. Everybody ate.
That's right.
When they didn't get your business and
That's
they came
right.
out for a free estimate. I actually there's some real loss for somebody of my size when we're talking about that small
and
business.
as you know, I'm in a similar situation. It is just me. The business that I do, it's just me. And you have my cell phone number. I got your cell phone number. We're similar in that way. You want something from me, you can text me. And that's what you get with a small business. You can call me any time of day or night, so on and so forth. I'm local. You know where I live. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's cool. And And yet there has to be some kind of guardrails put into that relationship so that I'm not, as a customer, taking advantage of you. Thinking, Corbett's cool. He'll swing by. We're boys, whatever. You know, there has to be a guardrail in place. And that I've respected that about you too, because you're business with it. Like you and I hang out or whatever. We're sitting here talking. That's great. But like, if I want you to come take a look at my whatever, my sink or my bathroom and stuff, I got to pay you. And and I respect that about you, because not everybody does business the way you do. You know what I mean? In that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I think it's just and it's not even the industry specific. I think it's just a matter of just like mutual respect, but also there has to be a little bit of a factor of somebody may not know any better. And that's literally why I started this podcast.
I was about to say,
the average homeowner might not know what we just spoke about.
Correct.
And they might not be malicious when they waste my 2 hours and don't hire me. But it should be something that they are educated about.
Right.
That when I come out and measure an entire kitchen for countertops and 2 bathrooms for countertops, and oh, by the way, now, just so you know, and everybody listening, it's not just me. Leonardo,
right?
I got to text him those dimensions. He's got to do some calculations. He's got to get a number back to me. I've got to text my painter with dimensions. Oh, no, they don't want this painted. Yes, they want that painted. Oh, okay. Now I've got to put it all together and give you a number. That's like, right. It's not like I just went to Lowe's and was just like, how much are 25 2x4s? Okay. It's going to cost me this much for 5 hours. Boom. There's a number. It's a lot. Sometimes it's complicated. And obviously, the bigger the job, the more complicated it gets. You know, bathrooms may be small, but you need a minimum of 3 subs. You need a minimum of demo, paint, and plumbing. Most likely 4th in tile. So there's 4 people and me to organize a job. That's 5 fucking humans. It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of man hours just to put together an estimate.
You know, the plumber needs to get eyes on the plumbing. Or what brand? Is it copper? Do I need to get the blowtorch? Is it PEX? Is it 200-year-old cast iron? You know, the tile guy, how much square footage? How tall? You know, the sheetrocker might have to patch something. The painter, you know, there's just like... People want you to come and look at something and be able to just like peer into
a number right away.
Just immediately. And a lot of times I'm able to do that. But I need to be like, just so you know, that number could be off by $1,000. Like it's $3,500, but it could be $4,500. It could be $2,500. Yeah. If you want to give me $100 to make a real estimate, I'll make a real estimate.
I'll go home and do it.
Yeah, I'll go home and do it. But like, yeah. So So changing gears a little bit, you mentioned, you know, what you've done for me. That's not your main gig, right? What's your main job? Can you say it on the air?
Yeah, I'm a teacher.
Oh, okay. Where do you teach?
Private school here in Durham.
Which one?
Hill Learning Center.
Okay, cool. How did you know you wanted to be a teacher, like young age? Because I really wanted to be a math teacher when I was younger.
You'd be good at one.
I feel like I'd be good. I mean, I know that I can I was leader on sports teams and in scouts. So I know I can command a room and get people to pay attention to me, but I just wanted to be a math teacher because math was my favorite sport.
I can tell.
Or my favorite sport. My favorite topic subject.
You were an athlete.
I was not, but I was good in 5th grade.
Yeah, dude. I mean, both my parents are teachers.
Oh, okay. So it's in the blood a little bit.
I've come from a long line of them, and it's always something I knew I would do. And I went to Carolina and studied English and started working in private schools in 2004.
So even though you knew you studied English instead of just studying
education,
teaching, or is it education? Yeah. Teaching's not a subject.
You can get an education degree.
You just get an education degree. Okay.
I thought about that I started in a master's program for education.
Okay.
And switched over halfway through and ended up with a master's in English. So that's my subject.
Let me ask you a question, and I feel dumb asking it, but I'm just, I am what I am, and I have a legitimate question. So you know how, instead of going to 4 years of college, you can just, go to a 6-week plumbing school and just, get that and then start working.
Yeah.
Can you go to like I want to be a teacher and just go
.com.
to teaching school for 6 weeks or 6 months?
Like with a high school degree?
Yeah, like go from high school and like, I don't want to go to 4-year college. I know I want to be a teacher. Go to a school that teaches you how to be a teacher. Is there that thing? Does that exist?
Well, to teach public school, you have to have a license.
So then
teaching license requires a certain amount of courses, college level courses and master's level courses.
So you need a degree.
Probably. I don't know exactly, but you got to go to school in order to be licensed to teach in any state. Now,
That more or less answers my question. Yeah.
I have never taught in public school. I've always been private school. And there's no licensing requirement in private school.
Is that by choice?
It's just how it happened.
Okay.
And in a private school, there is no licensing requirement. However, there is a resume requirement. So if you show up with a high school degree and no college degree, you're not getting hired. So, yeah. I mean, to be a teacher, I guess the answer is yes, go to college. Kids.
Does your school need a wood shop teacher?
Exactly. I teach at a place called Hill, which is...
I'm actually not kidding. If they need a part-time wood shop teacher,
I love it.
That would probably be really fun.
You could be a guest lecturer. My school is...
I would actually love to do that. If that would be something amazing. That would actually be like, I could talk about what it's like to flip homes. I do that for a legitimate living. And
I love it.
I'm actually good at that.
You're good at a lot of things, bro. Yeah, I would love to have you come visit. My school is unique in the sense that it is a school for students with learning differences. So,
hey, I'm dyslexic, so let's all for it.
I love it.
I'm an example of how you can enjoy television.
I didn't know that, man.
That's cool. Yeah, documented and everything. I got like extended time in the SATs.
Sure.
And in 8th grade, I actually took my math exams orally with my teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So the day before the whole class took the exam, I went on like a break period.
Wow.
And just me and her, she was like, I'm going to write it, but like, what do you want me to do here? And I was
fantastic.
like, I want you to move the 2 to the right, and I want you to divide that, and boom, and that's 7. And I did it on the calculator, and she just wrote it out.
I love it.
And when she was like, she would legit mark like, oh, you kind of fucked, like I helped you there, like -2 or whatever.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
But so it was fair, but it was like,
yeah,
it was clear. Like she was one of the first teachers who was just like, you get this stuff. You just don't test well. And I was like, I know, bro. I've been telling everybody for eternity that like, I'm not dumb. I'm not listening. I just don't regurgitate it on a multiple choice exam.
Perfect.
And I'm not unique in that regard.
A lot of folks struggle with that.
Yeah. The multiple choice standardized testing, we could do a whole podcast on why that's not good. I got into 4 out of 5 colleges, and 4 out of 5 of them were SAT score optional submission. And the one that required them, I didn't get into. So that's clear to me that school didn't care about me and saw the number. And like,
it's so interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you follow it, but they're making a lot of changes. SAT is having to adapt. COVID did a lot of it. A lot of colleges, through necessity, decided, you know what, we're going to pause on requiring SAT, ACT. We're going to make it optional, so on and so forth. And they realized that it didn't make much of a difference. So now the ACT and SAT are having to adapt to that new reality, and they're changing up the game. They're making it so that you can take it online. They're doing all kinds of other things to change their test, to make it so it's still attractive. It's still something that you pay to take. Right,
because it's all about that.
Of course it is.
Dollar. What grade do you teach?
High school. I've always taught high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a prime time because you're molding them, and college is on the...
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I've always worked with that age group. I find it really, really rewarding. And I have taught English literature mostly at sort of traditional private schools most of my career, boarding schools, as I mentioned earlier. And it is something that
I went to boarding school also.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Northeast?
All of high school, yeah.
Where'd you go?
I went to the Oakwood Friends School, which was both day students and boarding.
Oh, cool.
And
Quaker.
Yeah.
Cool.
I am not a Quaker.
No.
But
is that New York?
It is, yeah. And
Cool.
I was one of probably 3 of the boarding students who were not Asian. For some reason, all the boarding students were from Korea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not kidding. Like, 300 kids, 70 boarding students.
Is that in the New York State or in the city?
Yeah, no, it was in New York State. And the funny thing is, anybody listening, to my 6 listeners,
what's up, y'all?
Yeah, what's up?
I'll be one of them.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
No problem.
It was 20 minutes from my house. It made no sense why I lived there, but I needed to get away from my parents.
I understand.
Yeah, I actually I got driven to a school 30 minutes away for K through 8. And then I boarded at a school 20 minutes away.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I worked at a school like that.
Yeah.
In
and then I got
Washington,
thrown
DC.
out of that school and went to a school in Connecticut that
Love
was
it.
like 50 kids, only boarding. This is the school for kids who get thrown out of school.
We're kicking your ass at this place.
And you're going to do nothing but education
Right.
and sports.
I love it.
And I went from like a D.C. student to an honor roll kid, got into school, became a star tennis player. Like I completely changed my life around.
Oh, that's cool. That's a
so
good
it was
story.
worth it, but like socially, there was no.
It was over for you.
There wasn't even like you know how some boys boarding schools have like a sister school
I do.
and they have like a dance.
I know.
We had no sister school. We had no dances.
We
had no
it was
nothing.
you and the boys. That was it.
Yeah,
And
and
the school
48 of us.
Love it.
40. No, you don't love it.
Well, I
It
went
was-
to a boys' school. Yeah, I went to a boys' school. A little different, but I did go to a boys' school, so I know what it's like. And I've taught at a boys' school. I've taught at a girls' school. I've taught at a co-ed school. I've taught at international school. And now I am at, as I mentioned, Hill, which is a school for kids with
What's
ADHD.
your favorite? Do you have one?
Nah, man. I mean, they're all great. Every place I've ever worked has had special things about it.
It sounds like, at least to me, judging from the little I know you and just the tone of your voice, that like you are an educator at heart, and it doesn't really matter where you would go to teach.
I love it.
I find the passion.
I
to
love working with
teach.
students. I do. I love working with students. It's the greatest thing ever. I love the subject matter, obviously, but working with young people and helping them on their path is just an amazing thing. And you mentioned, and on the side, so a friend of mine, one of my oldest friends, a kid I went to boys' school with, started the Merch Mania company, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, in order to serve private schools and their like school stores. And so
Right. And for those listening, Merch Mania, anything you need, whether it's screen printing or embroidery, hats, underwear, socks, shorts. I literally have.
he's wearing it right now.
I literally have Under Armour shorts with my embroidered logo, and then I have long sleeve hooded T-shirts with my screen printed logo.
There you go.
All done by Glenn and Merch Mania, and
Thanks, man.
you know, even like when there was a communication breakdown and the wrong thing showed up, you guys made it right. It was better than I could have imagined.
Thanks,
like
dude.
it's a quality thing, and what I like is you have stuff, but also you're like, hey, if you like find the pair of shorts you want,
Correct.
send me a link and I'll see if I can get them wholesale.
That's
or,
right. We were just talking about that.
Yeah,
the other
and
day.
you also did my masks,
That's right.
which were super cool. I was walking around with my logo on my
right.
mask.
That's
You
right.
screen printed them for me.
That's right. I did. I
Yeah,
remember that.
and I definitely was the only one I saw with my own logo on a mask.
You were the man.
Yeah, and I was giving them out. I was like, here you go, here you go,
I love
here
it.
you go.
Yeah, working with you has been so much fun in that way. Yeah, so it's a small company. There's only a few of us, and we started doing school stuff.
You're based in Tennessee, right?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's my hometown. And
Oh, you're from Nashville?
correct.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's he still lives there.
Good music, Nashville.
you go.
That's Music City,
Music
USA,
City.
right
Amen,
there.
brother.
And
Yes.
what's the deal with is it the hot chicken?
That's right.
What's the deal with that?
I don't know. I left to go to college in 1998, and it was not a thing back then, as far as I knew. But Nashville has become even bigger than it was when I was a kid. It's always been sort of a destination, a place where people will go to make it, their dreams come true, and so on. But now it has become almost a theme park, and anything
It's
about
unfortunate.
anything about Nashville that's unique has now been commodified. So that's one of those things. Hot chicken's delicious. I don't know. There were some hot chicken restaurants in town.
So I've only been in Nashville once, and unfortunately, so I had a friend staying there. It's a weird story. Like my dad was like, "Look, we need something." So my dad, when we were talking off air, I couldn't believe you hadn't Googled him because I had told you.
I'm gonna do it now. I
Yeah,
don't know.
WSDG,
Love it.
Walter Stork Design Group. He
Yeah.
designs recording studios.
Got it.
And I mean, like, name a famous person, he's done it.
Love it.
Like Alicia Keys, Green Day,
Sure.
the list goes on.
Okay.
Right? And oh, by the way, Spotify.
Wow.
So he calls me and he goes, look, we're doing this room for Spotify in New York, and they need this custom wood console that's being built in Nashville, and they need it in 3 days. And I was like, sounds like, why are you calling me? Like, you need me to Google FedEx? Like, and he's like, no, we tried that already. It's this much money, which is absurd, or it won't even get there in time, or whatever.
You didn't drive it there, did you?
It's exactly what happened.
Love
he
it.
was like, I'm gonna buy you a one-way plane ticket. You're gonna go to Nashville. You're gonna rent a U-Haul. You're gonna go pick it up. You're gonna go stay at your friend Amelia's, which is like his good friend from college's daughter, who has a couch for me.
There you go.
Right? And then you're going to wake up and you're going to drive like 8 hours straight to your uncle in Maryland, who's going to put you up on his couch, where then you're going to wake up at 4 a.m. so that you can get to New York City by noon at the dot.
Not even a minute later.
To open this thing up and have 4 people grab it and you fuck off.
Get the hell out of there.
And return the U-Haul, and I have a 4 p.m. flight, LaGuardia, back home.
You got it done.
And he was like, I'll give you, $500 or whatever. And I was like, okay. Like, I had nothing really better to do.
Let's go.
I made him give me an extra $100 when the U-Haul didn't have a way for me to connect my phone for music, and the AC was broken.
You're bargaining. I like
when
this.
the AC was broken and the music. I literally remember getting a text from his CFO, Nancy, who's literally known me my whole life.
Yeah, that's right.
You know. And she went, I thought it was 400. And I was like, it was.
It's now
until the AC broke and I couldn't connect my phone, and she literally went, understood.
Done.
She didn't even she was like, yeah, I got it. Like, you just from Nashville in the summer in a U-Haul. U-Hauls are not comfortable. Like, I'm the giant. Like,
oh,
yeah, it was ridiculous.
God. That's funny, man. Yeah, so Nashville. Nashville's the best.
That's my only visit to Nashville.
Well,
and
you got to go back.
I definitely want to go back. I hear it's a fun town.
That's the thing. I mean, it's my hometown, and it makes me uncomfortable talking about it like it's a tourist place because I don't see it that way.
Hey, just speak the truth,
Well,
there's probably a tourist strip, but I'm sure the off the beaten paths to go. Like, the hole in the walls to get the good stuff.
More or less. Not as much anymore as I used to. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool place to say that I am from. That's for sure. I family there for sure always, and go see them and friends and things like that. But that's where we're based. The company's based, but I'm here in North Carolina, and I do my thing. And so I've been with them, Merch Mania, for 3-4 years now. And it's a side hustle for me. It's a great way to make extra money, to meet people. I've met you. I mean, I guess I met you through the contracting, but we've stayed in touch.
Yeah, you did meet me through the contract, but I mean, even for somebody like me, I was like, well, I want my logo on stuff, and then I was like, if I bought these shorts without my logo, it's like not even that much less.
Exactly.
And then it's like, now I got my logo on it. Like,
exactly.
Like, why not?
Right.
Some of my friends are like, dude, you wear the same thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm comfortable.
You are funny. You're the one. You were like, I will take 12 of those. Thank you very much.
And they're not to give away. That's the funny thing. You were like, you giving 12 2 double XL hoodies away? I'm like, no, I need 3 different colors, 4 of each, and these are for me. I just spent $3,000 on a tattoo,
best.
and I want to cover it. I want to protect it.
You're the best.
Yeah,
I love dealing with you.
And I think I hit you up one day, and I was like, just give me another round of shorts.
So
just
great.
give me another order. I ripped through enough of them. Gave a few away to some friends. I was like, just give me another round. I don't need that other blue. Just black and gray.
You're my guy. You're my guy. I love it.
You were like, they went up $1. I don't care.
Yeah,
Still
exactly,
cheaper than
exactly.
it's cheaper than the outlet store.
But see, all right. So then there's there's a parallel there. You're talking about like somebody calling you and being like, I'm interested in whatever, and I'm happy to walk them through what that would look like. I find sometimes, as you do, people don't know what stuff costs.
Yeah, and you worked for me. And what I mean by that is it was not here's one logo, you sent it back, I said it's perfect, and we ordered it. We went back and forth. You did some work.
Of course.
And at the end of the day, I could have said I'm not interested for whatever reason, and you would have been out of those hours.
Out of luck.
Yeah.
And so there's a balance there, and you know that too. And you want to make sure that people get what they want, you know? And like you said, there was a time where I gave you something that wasn't right.
Yeah. I think it was I think we tried to screen print the shorts.
And they screwed up.
And they washed away too quick. And I was like, sorry, man, these are work shorts.
That's right.
They need to be,
that's right.
embroidered.
I remember that. Yeah. Or there was one thing that was the wrong color. Remember the first time we did it, it was like the wrong color orange.
Yeah.
And it was like, so those things happen.
Yeah.
Or not even a mistake, even just a disagreement, or even like, you know what, I decided against this, or maybe I don't want to do that. But like, that's part of it. I'm talking from my perspective. You have to weigh that sometimes against, like, am I going to, because when they call you, when a customer calls you, it's very rare that they know, I want this number.
Right.
I want this shirt.
I'm unique in knowing in one of the few people who's like, I need 14 of these for a team.
It's hardly ever that happens. Right.
Like, I think you also did my kickball team.
We went back and forth on that. Remember, though, because there was a logo. It was like, I don't know. And I sent you like 2 or 3. That's
and also we went back and forth on the quantity, because
that's
in your industry, that is a low number. Like, you want somebody to order 100 shirts.
Of course.
12 is tough. You're like, well,
I'm making $25 on this, maybe, or like whatever
for the whole order.
Exactly.
Yeah. Whereas, like, if I gave you 100 shirts, you can knock $1 off my price, and you could make $65.
Obviously.
Like,
obviously.
because there's just you get to bulk order them. There's no. That's not a secret. Like, you bulk order the caulk at Home Depot. It's cheaper. Like, everyone knows this.
Sure.
But so, like, for me, I may know exactly what I want, but I got to be like, oh man, is it really that much more for? Maybe we order 2 extra just to get it cheaper.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about starting a merch podcast, because I'm kidding, but like what you're talking about.
Why are you kidding?
No, I like it. It's funny. Yeah, that's right. But like educating people on the process, and making them understand. And most people do. They get the idea that if you order more, it costs less. But like,
I think the parallels of our process are identical.
Yeah, sometimes.
I mean, like, you have to go through a million people do what you do. You have to sell yourself.
Oh my
just
God,
like
yes.
me,
oh my God,
right?
yes.
Yep. You don't sell anything unique, just like I don't.
Everybody's got a guy.
Everybody's got a shirt that, it's not like you have a silk shirt that no one else has.
That's right.
Just like me, I don't have a special shingle. I don't have special studs.
Correct.
Correct. You have to go through a design phase. Yep. You have to go through a bid phase. Yep. You have to get an approval. There could be a change order.
Correct.
Things get cheaper when there's more of them.
People see the estimate, they're like, oh shit, maybe I
I mean, that happened to me the first time. Mm-hmm. And then I think I adjusted the quantity, but then also, like, I looked at the price per unit and I was like, okay, maybe I just don't need as many, but that price per unit is still like hard to beat. It just seems like a lot, because most people don't go to the store to clothes shop and get 20 pairs of shorts for themselves. Right. I was like, these are going to be my lounge, gym, and work shorts for the next 20 or 7 years until I rip them.
Right.
So it's like when it's perspective. It's like, Costco membership's a lot until you realize how much money you saved all year.
And for somebody like you who's willing to, you get your money's worth, obviously, out of the clothes that you spend.
Yeah. I mean, literally, these are my morning gym shorts.
Love it.
Then I'll shower and grab a new pair to go to work. And then I'll shower after work. And then I'll put on yet a third pair to lounge on the couch.
That's the best.
So like, for me specifically, I'm one dude of 7 billion plus. But like, for me specifically, these are the most comfortable. I wouldn't trade them for the world.
Love it. It works for you.
It works for me. I wear like the spandex pant underneath in the winter, like a psychopath. I wear, the spandex short at the gym underneath. I have slid jeans on over them if I'm like, I've got to go out for 14 seconds and I just need like jeans to look more, or it's that cold, and then I'll rip the jeans off when I get home. I also I'm unique in that I really don't like pants. I'm not comfortable in pants. There's something about my lanky frame and the way that like the pants rub, and it just doesn't. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't even like shirts. Yeah. Clothes are just bad. I should move to a beach.
You are awesome. I love working with you. I will say, you know, I'm thinking about the parallels between our businesses. The margin idea is something that I think about a lot as well. I am willing to get your business. I'm willing to, you know, to sacrifice my margin to a certain point.
Right.
At which I'm like, you know what?
It's just not worth it.
Can't do it.
Yeah. And that's where, there's a discussion factor for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned it earlier, like being able to read someone's circumstances, like are they planning or whatever. So like, you know, there's just in my industry, for example, like, you know, let's pull numbers out of the sky. Let's say I give somebody a bid and it's 10 grand. Okay. And let's say that it costs me $7 grand to do the job and I'm putting $3,000 in my pocket.
Right.
Which is pretty normal, actually. It's like 30%.
Yep.
Maybe it should be what, 20, 25%, something like that. Okay, so let's say it's 10 and 7. Now, let's say they call me a week later and go, so we got our other bid, and he's 9,500.
Right.
So exactly what you said, I have a choice. I can go, okay, I can do it for 9,500. And I'm going to simply take $500 and burn it.
Yep.
But at the same time, if you don't get the job, you don't get any money.
Right.
So there's a balance.
Of course.
Like if the guy comes back and says, we got somebody who's going to do it for 7,300, I can't pay my sub $7 grand and do the job for $300. I'd burn more than that in gas.
Exactly.
Then, you know what I mean?
There's a point at which you have to you have to stop. You have to, and also there's another factor I think is important for you. Is it for me? If I take this job, let's say that in your scenario, the 10 grand thing and 9,500. Now my new price is $94.99. I've just won that contract, which is great. I've sacrificed $500, but I've gained the money that I'm making in margin.
And you gained a client.
And a referral.
Hopefully. Yeah. But the flip side of that coin is the next referral may expect a $500 discount.
I know.
So
right. That's what I'm talking about reputation.
There's always a balancing act, you know, like you refer, you're like, oh, well, this guy,
he's cheap.
He came down.
Right.
So he'll come down for you.
Don't worry. He'll
like,
work
well,
with
wait
you.
a minute.
You don't want that reputation.
Like that's not, maybe, you know, why did I come down? The circumstance of like each homeowner's circumstance, like we're going through, you know, this kid's in college or we're going through a divorce or we have 3 bathrooms so we don't have a rush to do this bathroom. Mm-hmm. What about my circumstance? You know, I just had foot surgery.
Exactly.
I might need that job really badly because I need that $2,500.
Well, listen, you told me, I called you for you talking about the loft bed. I said, bro, I need a loft bed.
Yeah.
And you were like, I can do it for you, but you essentially told me I'm too expensive.
Well, I was just upfront about I was like, well, what do you really need? And you were like, I need a temporary, like super temp, thrown together, real. And I was like, I'm the wrong guy.
I'm not your guy.
Like respectfully,
right. Exactly.
You know, I'm just not the right guy.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Though. At some point, you have to be like, my work is more valuable than what you're willing to spend.
And it's also me personally knowing my own lane because I've stepped out of it and burned.
Yes.
You know, the first house we did in Durham, I drove to Home Depot and rented a freaking paint sprayer.
Yes.
And we taped off and the whole interior. And there's not an amount of money on earth that could get me to do it again.
Exactly.
Unless it has 6 zeros.
You know what?
There's no way. Exactly. I just wouldn't do it.
And you know what happens? You do those like, oh, I'll just do this because this person seems nice. I'll help them. You know what happens? Those people complain the most.
That unfortunately that track record is accurate. You try to do the favor for,
it ends up taking your whole month,
and it's like, whoa, I've lost $400. I've been here 3 extra times. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Protect yourself.
Yeah, and then I've had clients where they were so annoying that I have put a note in their phone. You are not one, I promise.
Thank God.
But I have put a note that is only actually one client. I put in a Tesla outlet for him for his car.
Right.
And he was such a douche that there's a note in his phone, extra $1,000 asshole charge if he ever hires me again. Yep. He hasn't, and I don't think he will, but literally, like, and this was a Tesla outlet. This was such an easy thing. It was like, and I don't even want to go into it, but it was just like so over the top, the annoyance. And like my buddy Jeremy had to go back there 3 times to do nothing, just to shut this guy up.
Yep.
And I was like, the next time if you need anybody ever, there will be $1,000 asshole charge, and I'll just put it in the taxes or something. I don't even know what,
brother.
But like, it was just no way.
But it's always the ones where you try to do a good deed, or you try to like, maybe I'll cut a corner here because I don't know, this person seems nice or they need help, whatever. You try to help people, and it seems like, you know, like a douchey thing to say from my perspective, but it does seem to be that way, that those are the kinds of jobs you end up getting in trouble. You lose money.
Is it douchey if it's truthful?
No, I know.
No, I'm actually asking. Like, I don't want to be the douche who says that happens, but it's happened to me. Right. And like, I've burned money, I've burned bridges.
Sure.
Like, it's not fun.
No, I'm sure you have lost money on certain jobs that you took almost as a favor. And those are the ones that hurt the most, where you're like, you're trying to do the right thing, or you're trying to be a good guy, and then you end up losing money, and the person you do the job for doesn't even seem to appreciate it. That's when it's hard. But I mean, that in the business that you and I are both in, those things happen. And
you also, unfortunately, in the business that you and I are in, there's never a good story. Like, when's the last time you went out to a bar and you overheard a table and they were like, "Oh man, I had this super great kitchen remodel and everything was perfect and it was on time and it was done by Joan Doe Construction."
Right.
Like, never. You always overhear the conversation, "This dude took forever he sucked and he was overpriced and he did this and blah, and don't ever hire John Doe Construction."
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute. Like, sometimes you get taken advantage of, and those people suck, and they give my industry and indie industry a bad name. Yeah. But sometimes you're an entitled asshole, and that contractor actually did everything he said, and you're upset he didn't show up to work outside in the rain one day, and you're going to drag him through the mud, and it's like, wait a minute, did you actually get everything he said for everything it cost? And, like, did it take an extra week because the doors were on back order? Like, wait a minute, just, like, be real. But you never get that. You never get that unless we dissect it here on a podcast, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've had people give you good feedback, but I know what you mean. People want it yesterday, and they want
for nothing.
Right.
They want it yesterday for nothing. Yeah. And it's like, so I should never eat or sleep or do anything fun.
I get it.
I should be camping outside your house waiting for the hose bib to break with a new one. Like, wait a minute. Like, you know, it's a little, there's, you know, obviously there's nothing worse than a burst water pipe on Thanksgiving.
Been there.
Yeah. I haven't been there, but I did have a tenant of mine, no heat on Christmas. Yeah. And this past Christmas in North Carolina, because most people listen, I think, was above average and cold. For North Carolina, it was real cold. And she had no heat. I had a frozen pipe in the exhaust pipe of the heat or something. Yeah, they had to cut it. They literally had to cut it. They were
Christmas Day.
Yeah. I had to pay the extra fee to get someone out there because it's not on them, it's on me. Mm-hmm. And they were like, you're not gonna like it, but if you want heat today, I have to cut this thing that's full of ice, and then you're gonna have to pay me to come put it back on. And I was like, it's Christmas, bro. I need heat now for this lady. Like, I don't even know if she's entertaining or whatever. Yeah. Like, I didn't even ask her. I was just like, I need heat. Yeah, it has to happen. Like, there's no. Yeah. But that's the difference between an apartment complex and me as your landlord. Like when you text me as your landlord, I get that shit done.
There you go.
Immediately. You have my cell phone.
Oh, that's right. That's what I mean. And that's what you pay for.
You don't put a request in online with the apartment complex.
Yeah.
And, you text my cell phone and I do it.
Right. And I think that's the theme. That is what you're selling.
Yeah.
That's what I'm selling.
Yeah.
And that's not cheap.
No, that attention to detail, it takes effort, and effort when it's for something that is for, a stranger, you got to pay for it.
There's value attached to that.
Yeah, there's value in that for sure. Yeah. And that, I think that goes across my industry, your industry, and a lot of industries. I don't think that that's unique to our industry.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
No, but I think that, I don't know if that's the message that you are hoping to convey, but it sounds like at least one of them, that look,
I don't even know what message I'm
but you know what I mean? Like you're talking, like you said you wanted to start this podcast to communicate to folks who may not understand what it's like to hire somebody to make your house nicer. This type of thing, the attention to detail that you provide, the expertise that you provide, the experience that you provide, the customer service you provide, all of that stuff has value. And all of those things require investment. They're not free, and so you are welcome to look elsewhere. If you would like the service that does give you free estimates and does other things for you that you may want. But if you want to work with somebody that does the things that I do, this is the rule. These are the rules of the road. This is what it requires of you.
And I have, it's funny you mentioned that free estimate thing again. I have noticed that, like, I have gotten calls from clients who have done other parts of their house before they met me. Like, for an example, somebody called me to redo a laundry room and they had already done the roof. Like they just had a new roof put on. And, they did some one of the giant ones that'll do a free estimate. I think it might have been Baker Roofing.
Yeah.
And I'm shouting their name out because I have no negative comment to say about them.
I like them.
Yeah. I've actually hired them for other jobs.
Me too.
But the reality of the situation is Baker Roofing has an overhead. Like, these are facts. This is not a negative or positive. They have overhead. They have a lot of guys. They have a lot of trucks. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of people, a lot of trucks. Mm-hmm. They have an office. They, whatever it is, okay? And they're going to give you that free estimate. But guess what? Every roof they do is padded with enough something.
They get paid for.
Yeah, so when the dude showed me his house, so I was like, okay, I know how big the house is. And then he showed me the roof, and I was like, okay, standard shingle roof. And then he told me that Baker did it for whatever price. I was like, my freaking roofer could have done that, and I could have charged you $3,000 less, and I could have put $2,000 in my pocket for one phone call because Baker Roofing has, and I'm not shitting on Baker. This is just a big company thing. So those companies that you see the ad for the free estimate, they're getting you on the tail end.
That's the difference. Right. They don't understand. Customers don't understand. Yeah, all right, on the front end, maybe Corbett's going to charge you $100, but he's going to be cheaper if he does the job for you than Baker's going to be, because Baker's already got that built into the
right, because every number is padded for them to compensate for all those free estimates and X, Y, and Z, where I'm like, if I don't get this job, I made my $100 and I move on.
We're all good.
Yeah. If I get this job, I'm going to make my 20% because I need to eat, and all my subs are going to get paid, and that's what it's going to cost.
Yeah,
the tile costs what the tile costs. That's not on me.
No, I know. I know.
Yeah. That's part of the, continued education to the masses of this podcast, of just like industry. Homes, I've said it before, the home, when you talk about material possessions, I would argue the most important things like health, family, those kind of things. People put them in different order. But when you're talking about most important material possession, most people would agree that it's your home.
Sure.
And also most people would agree, unless you're a millionaire who buys a private island or something, or a jet, it's the most expensive thing.
Totally.
So it's the most important and it's the most expensive. Okay, so we agree on those, but yet most people know nothing. They don't know anything about it. They don't know.
Sure.
Short of what you can see, short of the trim,
right,
and the built-ins, and the paint,
and the ceiling,
and the lights. And let's be super clear, all of that also has to be perfect. All of that has to look great. You have to live and look at that all day. But most people walk into a house, they see a beautiful kitchen, they get sold on a kitchen. Most people don't give a shit what's in the crawl space.
Right.
And that's the most important part of the home. Your guts are way more important. Your HVAC system, your attic, your insulation levels. Like everything you're not looking at is more important. All of the stuff you look at, all the trim, none of that keeps it warm in the winter, cold in the summer. Windows, how airflow goes through. Your heat, your air quality, your water quality, your filtration, your electricity, your efficiency, XYZ, fill in the fucking blank. Yeah. All of it's more important than what you actually look at. Like. But that's what we get sold on, you know. I spent a bunch of money putting in a kitchen island.
You did. It's nice.
And it's great. And I love it and I use it and you think it looks good.
When somebody buys your house, they're going to look at that.
I'm definitely going to make a bunch of money, but it does not affect how well this home keeps me safe as a home.
Right.
Right? Those are different things.
Yeah.
And they're...
Crawl spaces aren't sexy, man. Come on.
No, they're not. And I don't like going in them. They're very small, and I'm a giant, and I don't like putting on the stupid suit and the boots and the mask, but it's important. Yeah. And if there's one thing that I'm trying to just get across to people is like, don't be blinded by the finishes. Pay attention to the internals. It's more important. Yeah. You can paint the wall, change the floor, change the baseboard, rip out the kitchen. It's really hard to upgrade insulation. It's really hard to fix wires. Stuff's inside the wall. It's really freaking hard. So, you know, obviously I'm getting animated right here, but it's all just the passion of like, I started this podcast for that reason of just like, how do people not understand? Like, you dropped $300K, you're locked into a 30-year mortgage for the rest of your life of misery of this auto-paid mortgage. You should know that that pipe connects to that pipe. So when something's dripping, you could freaking trace it back. Like, there's just some stuff. Like, you should know to change this filter on this date. Like, you know, most people don't even change the air filter and the air return. Most people don't even know you have to do that. Right. Everybody listening, change your air filter. Right. Like, go on Amazon, order a 10-pack, open your calendar, open a change filter first a month, every month. Boom, 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 boom. Auto renew. Done. Just change it. You don't have to clean it. Just change it. Open the vent, throw it out, change it. Yeah. Measure the vent. It's on a wall central to your house, or the ceiling central to your house. It's probably 20 by 20 or 18 by 20. There's only so many standards. Order a box on Amazon. Like, it's not, but nobody does that. And I guarantee you, the 6 listeners, if they go and they look, there will be a 1/2 inch thick caked on layer of
every time
pet hair and dust mites and whatever. And you might not notice it the next day when you change the filter. It's not like you felt sick, you feel good. Yeah. But this is the air you're breathing every night while you sleep. Like, this matters. You know, the water filter, you shower in your house's water. Yeah. You wash your clothes in your house's water. And that cloth is on you every day for the rest of your life. Maybe your water should be checked.
Maybe you should just know more about where you're living, other than the superficial.
Right. And some people are like, you know, I don't have time to care about that. And it's like, all I can say is bullshit. The amount of time people over research on Amazon for a stupid whatever, fill in the blank, like, you could spend 3 seconds learning about your home. Yeah. You know, And if you do nothing else, you could just listen to this podcast.
I love
and write in and go, I have installation questions. And guess what? If I get a message that says I have installation questions, I will do an entire episode
That's
on
a
installation.
good idea.
Write in. Anybody listening, you can write in at any moment on the Instagram, and I'll do an episode.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten one person. The first person, I'm doing a whole episode, and I'll shout you out.
I'd like to hear more about that. And like duct work, and how do I keep my home the same temperature on the first and second floor? You know?
Yeah. These are real things.
Yeah.
These are real issues, that, anybody listening right now, and you also listen to the episode with David Clark. He's my HVAC guy. We had a great conversation about moving air through homes. I mean,
do that.
It's a legitimate thing. And he happens to be my guy. He's my subcontractor. He works for Mainer Air and formerly Carolina Air. Both equally reputable companies, and he's a G. He's a salesman. That's what he does. Yeah. But at the same time, I've seen him in a crawl space pulling wires. He can do it. He's the man. Yeah. So I guess the last thing we should talk about, if you've got the time, are you on the house search now?
No, me personally, no.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
So that last house you didn't sell. You just you did sell it. Okay, right. So what was the just to finish up, what was the selling process of that because this market right now is insane in this area.
It was easy. I mean, it sold in 3 days.
3
Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah. I mean, it was a weekend. It was by the end of the weekend. It was over.
Wow. Okay. And for above asking?
Asking.
For asking.
Yeah.
3 days for asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a difficult process.
that's pretty.
Yeah.
You guys probably already had a realtor to go with.
That's correct.
Because you had bought a house here. So
that's correct.
Probably same realtor, I'm assuming.
No, it was not.
No, it wasn't.
It was not. But, and the person that we worked with, I don't know if I should shout him out or not, but
if they're positive enough to shout, I try to keep the shout outs positive.
Yeah.
So
she's great.
If they did a great job.
Yeah, she did. I'm trying to think of her name. I don't even know her name. But she was great, and the process was good. The staging was really, really important. So
furniture?
Right.
Oh, okay.
So she found somebody that she works with who was able to put furniture in the right places to make it look presentable.
Your furniture, or they brought in?
Both.
Mm-hmm. So you weren't living there?
No.
Okay.
We already moved.
Okay.
Which was helpful. So that we emptied it, and then they kept a couple of things, like our piano they kept and,
right.
and stuff, and then they added certain little touches here and there, and it was great. Yeah, I think that was helpful.
That's like a whole industry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've never really been involved in the staging situation because we haven't really sold anything.
Right.
Yeah, we've been acquiring, and then we rent them out.
Yeah.
And obviously, you don't rent anything with furniture in it.
Right.
Also, our stuff has rented in an eighth of a second because we build it to be sold.
That's
quality wise.
That's really
cool.
And
then people walk in and they're like, "This is for rent.
I want to live
We'd
here.
love this," and they rent in seconds. So,
awesome.
Yeah, we just haven't had a staging thing, and it's something I've just never really thought about. But I guess that's such a big thing because, at least me, I'm dyslexic. My brain works a different way. I've had clients who have no visual ability. They could not see anything. They could not see the space.
Right.
So
they can imagine what it would be like for them to live there.
Right. So walking in and seeing 2 couches and a piano could really help that human who doesn't have that. That's a big that's a big one.
And that seemed to help us. I mean, that was the feedback that we got, that buyers were like, "Oh yeah, this looks good," So yeah, our process was smooth. It was good. Yeah. As a seller,
3 days above asking. That's great.
It was, as a seller, it was great. We were pleased with it. if you're selling a house, I think that's buying a house is harder, but
yeah, right now buying a house is harder.
Yeah.
The competition is insane. It's calmed a little bit,
right.
but it's still tough. Yeah, you want to be a seller right now for sure. Yeah,
So-
but then you sell a house and you got to go buy one.
You got to find one. Yeah. So
or
I'm-
you got to go rent an apartment
or
or whatever.
rent it.
Yeah.
So, or go back to a boarding school. So
Right. You're gonna go like live in the
live for
dorm,
free.
be a dorm
Yeah.
parent.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My history teacher lived in the dorm.
Yeah.
He was really annoying about the late night
The
cell
rules.
phone policy. Yeah. Come on, Mr. Babbitts. You are a year older than my brother. Like, just chill.
Chill out, bro.
Like, you're so short and you think you're bigger. You're not. You're small, man. With your little Honda. Yeah.
I've triggered you. I've triggered you.
He triggered me, man. Yeah, yeah. And he would always give me crap because I wasn't like excited to learn history from him. And I was like,
Yeah.
I love history. Give me a documentary. You're just a bad teacher.
I don't like you.
Yeah, and he's like, it's a bad craftsman who blames his tool or whatever it was. Something I was like, no, I just don't like you.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Like,
I don't like anything about
yeah,
you.
I just don't like you, Chris Babbitts. God, I hope he's a listener. Like, what did I do, Corbett?
Send
I
it to
thought
him.
we were boys. Oh my God. Yeah.
I love
No,
it.
Chris, you weren't that bad.
No, that's right. You'll be
Yeah.
all right, Chris.
Your gray suit was slick on Parents' Day.
Funny as
Yeah.
hell.
All right, should we wrap this up?
Let's do
I
it.
feel like we should wrap this up. All right. Well, for those listening, you get what you pay for.
There you go.
Value is everywhere. So, next time tell them you actually just need it cheap because you just
Right.
need it cheap.
Right.
And it can be not as good.
And we can have that conversation.
And that's a legitimate conversation
Exactly.
you can have. But, we'll end with one of my dad's greatest pieces of advice that has stuck with me. Better the question, better the answer.
Amen.
It was a pleasure. Thank you
stuff.
very much for coming, buddy.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Bye, everybody.